Welcome in college baseball central fans. Again, we are lacking that intro. So if you are tired of hearing the Southern Fred baseball intro, it's kind of like, those later seasons of Malcolm in the Middle, if you will, where they just say life is unfair instead of doing the whole theme song. It's Jake, it's Andrew. We're back 2 days in a row. Wearing the same clothes, so we're a little bit stinky, if you will. Andrew, we got baseball today. How we doing?
Really excited for some SEC baseball. Really excited to be watching Alabama and LSU in a couple hours in the box. So
Yes.
if you see me at the box.
If you are at the box, be sure to say hi to Andrew. He's probably going to look like he hasn't showered in a few days. We get we get 6 SEC tournaments Thursday because of Easter. 2 are going to be started in that Friday to Sunday window. Again, same rules still apply in terms of rain delays. We've seen a few schools move stuff up like Texas. You have to get them all in by Saturday, 11:59. But no bad juju here. Tons of games we're going to be talking about here. Let's start with some of the lower level ones, if you will. Oklahoma, who will be without Dason Harris, travels up to Columbia, Missouri and Taylor Stadium for probably one of the most underrated one-sided rivalries, if you will. Oklahoma, for some reason, hates Missouri, and Missouri takes very weird cheap shots at OU. Like, remember when they trashed that guy's business a few years ago because he flipped their football commitment? Very toxic game. OU comes into the game at 26-10, 7-8 in the SEC, kind of hanging tough in there, if you will. Missouri sits at 0-15. They are the last winless team in the country in terms of conference play. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. Everybody is picking Missouri to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance Missouri beats Oklahoma?
No.
I don't think so either.
I said that Oklahoma was fading and Vanderbilt was rising last week, and it kind of was the opposite.
I know it ended up the exact opposite ended up happening.
Yeah, and it's weird because I had Oklahoma winning that series too. Oklahoma kicked their rivals' butt on Tuesday, beating Oklahoma State 11-1. It's always good to go into a series, even where it's kind of a rivalry, because they are former Big 12 rivals, I guess you can say.
I think they're real rivals, by the way. I don't know where they rank in terms of the hierarchy. Obviously, they're below Texas. Obviously, they're below Oklahoma State.
Well, one thing they can both agree on is they both hate Kansas. So,
dude, I don't think we might have to have some OU fans chime in, because I don't think that they hate Kansas.
I think they do, because the whole Baker game back in.
Oh yeah. I mean, kind of, I guess.
That's just Baker being Baker. But
do we have pitching probabilities for this one yet?
Not that I'm actually. Yes, we do.
Okay. Can you drop that in the chat just so we can cut this out later, or actually probably not. So if you are seeing this, Andrew will not be dropping this into our chat. He'll be jumping into the private chat just so we can have that up. Obviously, Kyson Witherspoon last weekend. Can you just send the whole link by chance, Andrew?
Or this isn't the SEC media.
Oh, this isn't the media one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They're leaving Cade Crossland in that Friday night role and then doing the Witherspoons to kind of go in behind them. Kyson, again, is not injured by any stretch of the imagination. He just had a little bit of soreness, so they're working him in, making sure his rehab. Because, again, you don't want him to be the best pitcher in April. You want to be the best pitcher overall. Cade Crossland, again, a JUCO guy with no D1 offers who threw 85 is now up to 96 and pitching on Friday night or Thursday night in the SEC. That's what you're going to get, it seems like. A lot of these guys are destined to play at some of these big schools. I mean, he's been an OU fan forever. He gets to live out his dream pitching on Thursday against Missouri on the road. Do you think Missouri holds a lead in any parts of these games?
I think maybe they can get to Malachi with Witherspoon, as you do see that. That Saturday spot is TBA for Missouri. I am expecting Ian Lausch to.
He's back?
He is expected to be back. He is probable for this weekend, but I've heard that he is expected to be back for that Saturday start for them. I think they can maybe get to Malachi. Malachi.
He does, if he needs to get his walks under control a little bit, if you will. That's
Yeah.
really kind of been his Achilles heel. Ian Loesch is listed as questionable. I believe it was doubtful last week, so he is kind of trending in the right direction. And then Dason Harris, I think that I might have to double check and see what's actually up with Dason Harris because I want to say he played last weekend, didn't he?
He did.
Let me double check. Let me search his name on Twitter. Just make sure it's not a long-term thing for him because
He didn't play.
There's not a single thing about his injury.
He didn't play in the Sunday game.
He played in the 14-0 win. He was 3 for 4.
Yes.
I might have to reach out to some OU people because I do apologize to that. I want to make sure it's not a long-term thing. Obviously, I think you and I talked about it pre-show. It could be anything from, hey, it's Missouri. We know we can win without him, to as much as it could be a long-term thing. Who really knows? But great news is they get it against Missouri. All three of us are going with Missouri to sweep. Honestly, there's not a ton of parity in a lot of these games, if you will. The other kind of layup for the weekend is a ton of us have them sweeping. The Ole Miss Rebels at 9-6, fresh off their losing 2 of 3, despite looking like the better team, and a lot of people feeling really good about them. They are heading to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the 2-13 South Carolina Gamecocks, who have lost now 3, 6, 9, 10 straight in the SEC to fall to 2-13. They choked a game away Thursday against A&M. They got their teeth kicked in, and they choked a game Saturday against A&M. They pick up a midweek in the Citadel, so they're still kind of playing for pulmonary, still working through a lot of stuff as they have one of the most extensive injury reports on the docket, as Talmas McCoy is still out, Jason Beck's still out. Nolan Naraki is probable, Dylan Eskew is probable, and Nathan Hall is probable, as I think he had just a tweak. There's no shot South Carolina wins this series, is there? Like, I hate to be blunt.
No.
I will say this. I actually really like South Carolina. I really like what Pulmonary is building for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Give it a few years as he kind of works himself in. But, it's Brandon Stone against Hunter Elliott. Feel pretty good about Hunter Elliott as he is 5-1 in the SEC. Friday, it's Jake McCoy versus Riley Maddox. Riley Maddox has been hittable at times, but again, he pounds this up, and South Carolina will single you to death. South Carolina is probably going to go with Dylan Eskew, is when I read some of the stuff. I think he is trending. South Carolina did flex a little bit of power numbers over the weekend. Do you think that this could be a sign of stuff to come for them? Or do you think that this was simply a case of, it's the wind blowing out, smaller ballpark with South Carolina?
Yeah, I think they just got lucky with the weather. The wind was blowing out. It's just...
It did take it. The weather giveth, the weather taketh, though.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see... I see this Ole Miss team just bouncing back after last week. They could have won that series against Tennessee.
They were in that game Sunday. I was in that over the mat. I dual screen with that in the Master. They were very much in that game. They kind of just ran out of pitching down the stretch. Yeah. Again, they got to get longer outings out of Hunter Elliott. They got to get longer outings out of Riley Maddox. I think that's really where it starts. But South Carolina isn't going to tax your bullpen the way Tennessee is. I will say that.
Yeah, you'll be able to get longer outings from your starters. Excuse me, and then you'll be able to go to your bullpen, get work from just your guys that you usually have. You'll just dominate.
I think it starts at the top with Hayden Federico, Luke Hill, Isaac Humphrey's got to continue his hot torch streak that he's been on. He's playing really, really good center field for him. But this is one of those ones where Ole Miss, if this was Ole Miss last year, you'd be like, this is time for them to take those 2 steps back, if you will. This is a mature team. This is a team that's gelled really, really early. And this is when you kind of get back into the hunt in a series like this if you're the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, this is a perfect bounce back for Ole Miss. Like a perfect
100%
opportunity.
You get to go on the road a little bit. I know that it was a very toxic and a very good environment. You kind of reveled in that, if you will. But, sometimes it's good to go on the road, get close, reminded about the good things that you do.
We talked about it last week with Tennessee, how getting away from Knoxville was a good thing for them. It's also a good thing for the players because,
it lets you gel.
yes, you go on those road trips, you feel a bit looser. Yes, it's a shorter week. You're not having to worry about homework because most schools have Thursday and Friday off now.
Yeah, Ole Miss had a little bit of a weird one too because they played their like kids game.
Yeah, they played early when they dropped it to Little Rock, but they come in.
That was a random game, by the way. I wouldn't think too much of it.
No.
It seems like everybody loses a midweek that they're not supposed to.
Especially
this was just their one where they had that happen. We all went with the. Let me double check in our graphic. All of us to sweep with Micah, going with them to win one singular game, if you will. We'll get the other kind of a straight pick for us. The Georgia Bulldogs are heading up to Vandy. Caleb picks them to sweep. Georgia is completely healthy. Vanderbilt, Rustin Rigdon is listed as questionable. Colin Barcy is listed as questionable. And Mike Mancini is listed as probable as Vandy kind of works it back. Vandy gets to come back home. It's a place that they are really good at after that kind of back and forth. I mean, they were in that game Friday against OU, and then they steal that one on Sunday. So they did lose 2 of 3 on the road. I think that this is just kind of them being in the new pecking order where when you get into that tier 2 of the SEC, it's tough to go on the road. They get Georgia, who's a tier 1 team that seems to be out for blood. But Georgia has been susceptible on the road, if you will. I'm actually a little bit surprised that we all went with Georgia for as bad of a team as they are on the road in the SEC, which, again, they did go to Texas, so it's not like it's an easy place for them to go in and play. What was your reasoning for picking the Georgia Bulldogs?
I just think Georgia kind of gets hot now. They just start to get rolling. I also just think that Vanderbilt's pitching isn't that strong. I'm a big J.D. Thompson guy. I'm a big Connor Fennell guy. And I just don't think they can settle down this, especially J.D. Thompson being a lefty, and Georgia batters love hitting left-handed pitching.
Georgia is 3-3 on the road in the SEC with a series sweep over Georgia. They absolutely paddled in that Arkansas series. It was a chippy series. It was a good one. I think that that's more of the team that we're going to see is that resilient team that has really good bullpen guys. You know, Leighton Finley kind of pitched like the pitcher that we all thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season. He really did live up to the hype. If they can get him and what they've been getting out of Brian Curley, this Georgia team just takes a complete 180 in a good way. Like they become quickly dangerous.
Yeah, Brian Curley, and especially Leighton Finley. I sent you that Finley's start on Sunday was the longest outing by a Georgia pitcher.
Period.
This year.
And it was against the best lineup that they had faced.
Yeah.
He went, just I have the stats up, 5 2/3, 2 runs, only one of them earned on 85 pitches. Then from there, Alton Davis was good. I think that they need to get JT Quinn going. I think that you feel a lot better about the bullpen if JT Quinn can kind of turn into the guy that we all thought he was going to be at Ole Miss.
Yeah, just if you can get more people, especially like JT Quinn, in and get them more involved, takes much more stress off the starting pitching, especially when you can only rely on them to go 4, 5, maybe 6 innings.
I think the other thing for me is I don't think Vanderbilt has the horses to keep up with Georgia in terms of the lineup.
No, I mean,
it's baseball from 10 years ago with Vandy, and it's baseball now. And baseball now is playing, unfortunately, the rules of baseball now.
Yeah,
I think Georgia run rolls Vandy one game. I think we might have to have that clipped up. That's my thing. I think it comes on Saturday. Ooh, Leighton Finley run roll. I kind of like that.
I can see that with especially Leighton Finley. If he can continue throwing how he is. I mean, Vandy, their bats. It's just Riley Nelson, Jonathan Vastine have like kind of been leading the way as of now.
RJ's still hitting.
RJ's still like going, but we've seen Brody take a step back.
That happens to freshmen, though.
Yeah, he's starting to get his freshman ways now.
They need a long outing out of JT Thompson, I think is what they really need.
Brody Johnston a month ago was Vandy's leading hitter. He is now hitting 262, and amongst their qualifying hitters is their last qualifying hitter. Every
single freshman in the SEC does this. I saw it with Jace Lavalette his freshman year.
Yeah.
I saw it with Gavin Grahovic. We saw it with Bear Jones as a true freshman, Paxton Kling. I mean, you could probably go on for hours and hours and hours just naming freshmen who burst onto the scene, have a really, really struggle April, and then start hitting again in May. This is where you really learn who you are as a hitter. Obviously, somebody like Gavin Grahovic last year made a ton of adjustments when he started to get pitched a little bit differently. He started not chasing breaking balls as much. I think that's what Brody needs to do, is he just has to have a little bit better vision. I know that he's kind of a big ambush guy, but that's really where I see it. I mean, this one seems like Georgia's to lose. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. Georgia to lose.
Another one where we all picked unanimously, the Tennessee Volunteers will welcome the Kentucky Wildcats into the Lindsey Nelson. Micah is picking them to sweep, with me and you picking up to take 2 of 3 along with Caleb. The Tennessee Vols had a bad day of baseball 2 weeks ago, the last time that they were there. And it's Easter weekend, if you will. And I think Tennessee rolls in this one. I will say this.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting fact. I did fact check this one. Kentucky, let me double check. Yeah, Kentucky sits at 9-6 in the SEC. They have had a lead in 14 of their 15 SEC games, with their one being that Texas game on Sunday, where they but even then they had the go-ahead run on base before that double play. The bullpen was good on Saturday for Kentucky. Do you think it's a sign of things to come for them? Or do you think that they're kind of looking up and kicking themselves in the foot for not being 9-6 or 10-5 right now?
I think they are kind of kicking themselves for being 10-5, but I think things are looking up. I do think they do take a game in
They're
this
9-6, by the way.
Yeah. I think they are going to take a game in this series. I think this last weekend proved that they can stand with the big dogs in the SEC. If this series was at Kentucky, I probably would have taken Kentucky to take 2 out of 3. That's how much I'm starting to like this Kentucky team more and more now. They're a gritty team. You have talked about how this Kentucky team is just not like last year's team.
It's a meat grinder of a lineup.
It's a meat grinder. It's just a gritty team. They did it to Texas on Saturday. They make you make mistakes.
Yeah. That was the one that they had. I mean, they were in that game on Sunday. I want to say, Friday they had the lead. Actually, I know they had the lead because it was not Sunday. Ben Cleaver's been really good for him. He was good enough, if you will, in that Texas one.
Yeah, he was.
I think Tennessee's got to have a good outing for Marcus Phillips. I think that's really where it's got to come down to.
Yeah, I think Marcus Phillips and Tegan Kuhns, if they do decide to go Tegan Kuhns on Sunday again, I think that those two need to step up. It's tough for Tegan Kuhns to step up as a freshman in the SEC. That's kind of their bullpen game on Sunday. But Marcus Phillips, he dominated against Florida. He dominated to start the season and SEC play, and then he just kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah, obviously we don't have the official rosters, as those are set to release 7 Central Time on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Alberto Ozuna, we know, is going to be out, so everybody forgot about him.
You never know. There might be a court ruling tomorrow, and I'm not. No, never mind.
Foreshadowing. Yeah,
I should not. People are going to watch this whoa.
The funny thing is, though, and I've said this to a few people, he is technically eligible for 2026. The way that the wording is in that decision, I think
for D1.
I don't know how it works with his clock.
I think it might be. I think he's just going to end up sucking it up and going back to Tampa for next year, or he'll just do what
Tampa let him back.
Probably not Tampa, but he'll probably go to Angelo State or trying to think of another top D2. He can go to NAIA. He can go to
Loyola.
He can come over to Loyola. We need a first baseman next year. But he might do what Zane Denton did.
Where you just quit?
He didn't quit. He was at Faulkner.
Oh, he was? I didn't even know that. I thought he quit.
He was at Faulkner for a little. He never got fully eligible, I think. It was a fallback plan. He ended up signing to play in the
Savannah Bananas.
No, I don't think the Bananas will allow him. He's playing like out in North Dakota, something like that.
Speaking of that, did you see that Nicky Lopez and Johnny Hummel are playing in Banana Bowl? Johnny Hummel for the Firefighters and Nicky Lopez for the Tailgaters.
Yes, I actually did see that yesterday. For some reason, I was watching Savannah Bananas videos yesterday. So
I kind of want to go see a game. Hot take. Don't roast me for that, folks. Tennessee to win for me. I think that they get one on. We don't have announced starters. I think Cleaver wins that one.
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah,
This is a horrible trait that I'm falling into, but I always feel the need to bet against Tennessee on Sunday. I don't know why. I just never feel good with that opener that they have.
I mean, they started to give Team Coons a little more leeway to pitch into the 5th and 6th, but obviously having AJ Russell back, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't think he threw last week. He didn't throw last week in the weekend. Tennessee fans got mad at me for that. I think they're just going to keep building him up in midweeks till maybe like the last couple weeks.
So obviously we'll not include the crappy teams that they kicked the doors off of. They beat Arizona, they beat Florida, they beat Bama, they beat South Carolina. A&M didn't beat them. They beat Ole Miss, so they're 6-1, 5-1 in real teams on Sunday. So maybe I should stop picking against them. I feel like it's I feel like I'm a dog that gets into the trash, where I'm like, hey, like don't get in the trash, don't get in the trash. Like, hey, trust Tennessee's openers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel about it, though. I think Tennessee takes the series. I think Kentucky gets a Sunday salvage. I think Kentucky gives them absolute hell.
Yeah.
I will say this. I wanted to talk to you because everybody's asking about Florida. Everybody's asking about Texas A&M. Kentucky sits at 6-9 in the SEC. I think their magic number is going to be 12 or 13. But Tennessee, they play 3 with South Carolina, 3 with Mississippi State, and then OU and Vandy. What's their tournament chances? Because I feel like they're talked about as like a 70 or 80, and I think it's closer to 40.
Well, I don't know. You saw D1's projections today, but they had Mississippi State as a 3 seed going somewhere. I think Kentucky is going somewhere for a regional. With how their schedule shakes up, I think they actually got a pretty decent chance of making a regional.
Let me see. Let me pull up D1s.
They got. Well, I didn't fully look at the D1 projections.
They have them going to Clemson as a 3 seed, with Clemson, West Virginia, which it would give them hell. Which, by the way, I think it's already a foregone conclusion that A&M is going to go to TCU if they make the tournament.
That's such a loaded. That first game against UTSA, that's gonna be such a.
They've already played UTSA too, I think, and UTSA beat them.
Yes, a little revenge spot.
And then Wright State, get Tulane in there when they make the tournament.
Well, for the AAC, it's all those teams minus UTSA. It's tournament or bust for them right now. But I think so. Yeah, they got Kentucky going to Clemson. You said yes,
yeah.
I see that.
So they sneak it. They're one of the last teams in.
Yeah, the Mississippi State definitely got to be like the last 4 in.
Florida could work. That's the other thing, though, is them, Mississippi State, Florida, and A&M are going to be all around that cut line. And Kentucky
with all these SEC teams hosting. You can't
Kentucky played all those road games early in the season to fuck with their RPI in a good way. A&M's RPI, what?
They went to Wofford, Kentucky.
The A&M, they played that Cal Poly series is looking incredible.
Yes.
For them. Florida's really good. They're the best set up SEC team of those 4 because they didn't play anybody at the beginning good enough to expose them, but there's a ton of teams that they kind of buoy. Mississippi State and A&M are the exact same situation, like legitimately, except A&M played Poly Like,
Yeah. I mean, looking at these projections, it's just like it's tough. You got Vandy as a 2 seed going to Georgia Tech. They're not going to send an SEC school to Corvallis, Oregon. They
might.
that would be the craziest thing that ever
That
happened.
would be so.
They sent Tulane to Corvallis last year. I thought that was the craziest thing ever.
They sent LSU there too. Remember they sent LSU there a few years ago?
Yes.
That would be Mississippi State, Oregon State would be so outrageous. That would be who's going up there right now?
Oregon, Kansas, and Gonzaga. You think Noah would go and cover Kansas in Corvallis?
Oh, Oregon State in a tournament game, by the way, is diabolical. And then LSU going up there as the Supers. DBU is the 2. Wow.
So something about the Baton Rouge regional. LSU has already beaten Dallas Baptist and McNeese, and they have not played Fairfield yet. So it would only be perfect if Omaha, Nebraska wins the Summit League and gets sent right back to Baton Rouge.
What about this? This is the nerdiest thing. Georgia Tech, Vandy, Penn, and then St. John's. One of those is not like the other.
No.
We are going off a bit of a tangent here. Yeah. Let's kind of get back into it. We will save that one for last. The only split decision on the weekend for us, Mississippi State will host the Florida Gators. You and I are rolling with the Florida Gators, while Caleb and Micah, who are leading our SEC Pick'em, are rolling with Mississippi State. Why did you go with Florida? Because I kind of went a little bit back and forth on this one.
I keep on telling myself that this Florida baseball team is gonna turn it around at some point. I mean,
they have to, right?
They kicked Mizzou's butt. I mean,
no, Missouri almost beat them.
Or yeah, Missouri almost beat them in Game 3. But I keep telling myself that the Gators are gonna figure it out. I mean, pitching, King and Liam Peterson needs to figure it out. I mean, Missouri, but like Liam Peterson needs to figure it out if they really want to go on a run. I think I really like the offense. The offense kind of, especially in that game against Stetson on Tuesday, showed some glimpses of like, okay, like
it can be an elite offense on paper, but they're quickly running out of time for us to continue. Like, if you don't have your stuff figured out by, April 17th, like, you're not going to. Like, I'm sorry. You just are what you are at this point. Like,
and I also think that if Florida has a time to, like, prove themselves to, like we're serious, it's beating this Mississippi State team, especially without the possibility of Ace Reese playing this weekend.
I'll say this, because this is about, I feel the complete opposite about both of these teams. I don't feel good about Mississippi State, but they went and beat Bama.
Yeah.
I feel like Florida should be better than their record, but they've lost some of the series that they have. The winner of this series, I will feel really, really good about, but the loser of this series, I think it's a nail in the coffin, Martin Luther type of situation. But that's how I feel about this series. Like, I think it's going to be Florida because I trust them a little bit more, but I mean, if Mississippi State wins this one, they're in the tournament and in the hunt, like locked up. Like they start getting into a 2 seed, if you will.
Yeah, so after this they get Auburn and Ole Miss in that midweek, but they get Auburn, Kentucky, and then Ole Miss, and they finish it against Missouri. And
they always beat Ole Miss. This is one of those things.
We always joke about, or we've joked about, oh, what if Mississippi State's like on the crisp of like RPI wise, or like on the crisp of like being considered a tournament team, and then they just drop 2 out of 3 to Missouri. I think Mississippi State kind of like if they take
that would be so Chris Lemonis for them to basically be like, hey, we need to win 2 of 3 at Missouri, and they get swept or something stupid like that.
Yeah, especially if Missouri's coming in 0-27.
Fuck,
that'd be crazy.
What are the chances that they don't win a single game?
I think we're starting to reach into the 70% range.
Because a lot of those teams aren't going to like fuck around. Like Mississippi State needs those wins. A&M needs those wins because at the end of the day, again, it's a new era in the SEC with the 16 teams, but you really do have to kind of be in that 12 to 13 range to get into the tournament.
Yeah. They're not going to take all. They're not going to take every SEC team that is over 500. There's that whole debate last year when Ole Miss got walked off by Mississippi State. That if they won that game, everyone was saying they're a lock because they were finally over 500. I think it was either this year or the year before. But
it wasn't the year before. The year before they finished dead last in the SEC. Maybe it was the other way.
It was last year, I think.
Yeah.
Loyola gave up the walk off, and basically their season was over. So I think this Mississippi State team is like they're in postseason now mode. That's what I'm trying to say. Every game now is postseason.
They do just enough to keep us interested. As a former Mississippi State student, like they never do things the easy way.
Nope, they love to keep you on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, like just when I'm like, okay, Mississippi State goes and beats a quality Alabama team, maybe they have it figured out, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They go and again, they haven't lost that series, but they go in and lose a series.
Yeah.
Like I said, split decision on them. We think it's going to be probably the most competitive series of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to an uncompetitive series. Really, the tale of teams go in the opposite direction. LSU is just absolutely nasty at home, if you will. They sit at 32-6. Let me see what their home road splits are.
I don't think they hit one last week. I don't think they hit one last weekend.
Who?
LSU. I don't think they hit one at Auburn.
A home run? No, I was saying they're home. How good?
My bad, but yeah, they definitely didn't hit a home run last week.
Let me double check. I can't find. I'll go to their actual website.
They are 5-5 on the road, 23-1 at home, being that one loss. My first ever day at College Baseball Central.
Oh, and they lost to Omaha.
They lost to Nebraska, Omaha. Shout out.
I don't mean to do the "I told you so" dance, but the LSU fans, and Andrew, if you could clip this to get this one out there, that said Kansas State is a quality win. Look up, buddy. They're 10-5 in the Big 12. They're going the wrong way.
They just lost their midweek series to Northeastern.
They're going to go to like the Texas regional, I bet. Yeah, sure enough. No, Kansas State is not a 2 seed. Give me a break.
I get Vandy as a 2 seed. They have Vandy as a 2 seed.
Give me a break with that one. Bama's not going to be a 2. Bama's going the wrong way. Bama, like I said, like I just hinted at, they are on the struggle bus.
Yeah,
they sit at third. They sit at 8-7 in the SEC. They're going the wrong way fast. They're 2-4 in their last series. I feel like it's deja vu with OU and Vandy, except I trust LSU a lot more than Vandy. Don't you?
I trust a bunch of teams more than Vandy. I would trust Bama more than I trust Vandy.
Yeah, I really would too. Luckily, they'll get to play here in a few weeks. I think that LSU gets back on track. I think that the place is absolutely rowdy. I think that they win the games that they're supposed to. I think they get a quality start from Ianson and Shores, which Shores, by the way, didn't pitch bad. I want to point that out there. They're going to win a lot of games when Shores pitches like that.
We do have a rotation switch for Bama. They're not going Quick or Zane game 1. They're going Tyler Fay for game 1.
Yeah, interesting. Zane hasn't been good the last 2 weeks for Alabama. I understand them doing that. I don't really think that that's that uncommon. I just think that they didn't want to speed Riley Quick up based on his arm issues up 2 days. Just speed him up 1 day. I think that this will probably be their rotation going forward of Zane, Zane on Saturday, Riley on Friday, and then Faye.
Faye and Bobby Alcock kind of.
He's injured, isn't he?
He's not on their injury report. There's only 2 people on the injury report for this game. Alabama has 0. Obviously, the news came from Jay Johnson last night that Gavin Guidry will be having back surgery tomorrow or on Friday.
I saw Sheeran throwing, by the way. Devin Sheeran's throwing.
So Devin Sheeran, Jay's not ruling that out yet. He has thrown bullpens. I think it's more of a, can he face live batters soon? He's going to have to, that's going to be a really, really amped up, or not really amped up, really quick process. So I wonder.
He's running out of time with that one.
But I've seen videos of him throwing. I've seen videos of him running, throwing. Shout out LSU strength and conditioning coach Chris Martin, lifting coach. What he's got Devin Sheeran doing, Devin Sheeran might be a pitch runner for LSU in the future.
Why do you think they moved? Did Bobby Alcock pitch at all last weekend? Because Faye pitched on Sunday, and he only threw 50 pitches.
Did Bobby Alcock throw?
He did not start, but did he throw in general?
I don't think so, actually.
He didn't come out of the bullpen?
He didn't throw against some on Sunday.
No, it was
Faye. He started. He will probably not throw this weekend. He threw yesterday against UAB.
That's so odd.
Did he get the start for that game? Yeah, I think he got the start for that game.
He did not pitch at all this weekend.
Bobby Alcock got the start yesterday against the UAB Blazers.
How many pitches did he throw?
He threw 54? 73. Way wrong. 73 pitches. So I will probably have him not throw.
What is that? 10, 15 for every day? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's definitely not.
I'm thinking out of the box here, but who do they have for a midweek next week? Sanford. They get Sanford and Missouri next week. So, I mean,
they play good midweeks. Maybe, who knows? I mean, that's interesting. I mean, he hasn't pitched bad, but he hasn't pitched good. Like, he's been good for a Sunday guy, if you will. But
yeah,
I really like LSU. You like LSU. Micah likes LSU. Andrew likes LSU.
But the way Rob Vaughn does midweeks at Bama is so weird.
Yeah,
he weekend guys. He threw their closer, Carson Osmer, yesterday.
I think they're doing this thing where they realize like they only need 4 more wins in the SEC, if you will. Like, let's inflate our record, if you will, and get like when they go to check that box.
I mean, they've thrown. I mean, Aiden Vinatieri. He's gone like key innings for Bama, and he's throwing in midweeks. It's just weird,
dude. Those games that they stole, if you will, from Texas A&M are paying such huge dividends for them.
Yeah,
like
I think if A&M, I mean, obviously I'll talk about A&M.
Yeah. There, like, because even if they sat at 7 and 8, you really wouldn't feel as good as you do about them.
No, but I don't think I went LSU sweep.
You did.
I did go sweep.
You did. So me and Micah did not. You and Caleb did.
I'm standing on business. LSU sweeping. I think Bama's pitching is kind of struggling. I will be there Thursday. Micah will be there Saturday. I'm very disappointed. I'm not going to see that. I'm very disappointed. I'm not seeing
Micah's doing. He's doing Northwestern State, Lamar, LSU, and then Mississippi State, Florida on Sunday. Lucky bastard. I have a family, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have senior day.
The 2 Texas schools are the ones we have left. Texas A&M heads up to Baum Walker to face the Arkansas team that is doing the opposite of what we said with Ole Miss. They're coming back home after a tough week on the road. They dropped 2 one-run games against Georgia at Georgia's Place. Texas A&M comes in winners of 5 straight. They scored double-digit runs in every single one of those games, I believe. Little bit of a tease as Gage Wood is pitching in place of Gabe Gackle. So they're going Root, Beetle, Cheese, Wood. Is that what it is?
It's Root, Wood, Beetle, Cheese on for Wood's getting Friday.
That's what it was. A&M's rolling with the same thing. They're not going to change that. I think for me, again, I've yet to figure out what Texas A&M has done in terms of picking them. They're the only team I'm winless picking against. Ironically, I'm 6-0 picking Missouri. So I really wanted to pick A&M this weekend. I think that A&M has the potential to take 2 of 3 here as a big monumental upset.
I think A&M. There is a world. I think there is a world where Texas A&M goes into Baum Walker and sweeps them. That's just me being
whoa.
Me. But
I don't think they sweep. That's a clip.
I think there's a small chance that Texas A&M goes in and sweeps. I think they've really figured it out.
They're so hot.
They are so hot. And I mean, I turned that game 3 against South Carolina off because I was so mad at them.
I know you and I were texting about it because I was at a wedding.
I was watching it and I was like, I was like so mad at them. I'm like, how like everything was going right for you. Like you started to look like the A&M that you were like supposed to be. And then like that first half of the game happened. But I think they're on a 7-game winning streak. Obviously, like they're midweeks. They played in a midweek? The Tarleton or Tarleton?
Sam and Tarleton.
Yeah, okay. Those aren't, but like being able. So actually, I think the midweeks kind of matter because they are swinging the bats. They're keeping the bats hot.
I think the thing that's the most impressive part for me about Texas A&M is that they're not reliant on one guy. Like I felt like, and honestly, we're seeing it with Texas, ironically, where they kind of get extremely hot for one inning. This happened last year with A&M, and they didn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. I've noticed with this team that I think has been the most impressive thing is that they have one guy who just goes absolutely mental that carries them through an entire weekend. Like last weekend, it was Blake Binderup. The weekend before, it was Ben Arroyo. It's been Bear Harrison at times. Like Caden Kent, who, I mean, you and I we were talking about how he isn't really, like, I think he had a batting average under 200. Mm-hmm. He had monster at bats. I think that's the thing that's the most impressive part is it's a deep lineup that it doesn't always click together in a good way.
The thing is, for this A&M lineup, it has been so much better. There's one name you didn't mention, Caden Sorrell.
Okay, I don't know if this is a thing, but it feels like when teams get back to getting healthy, like Caden Sorrell sitting in the 3, 4, 5 hole. I think they've kind of moved him around a little bit. I have to double check. Mm-hmm. He's not affecting Ben Arroyo, his at bats in the 8 or 9 hole at all, right? But the whole team just, it's like they breathe a little bit easier. Like Terrence Keel's at bats aren't really changed because Caden Sorrell's, in the hole in the dugout. Like, but everybody just seems to take really aggressive at bats. It's a team that doesn't rely on the long ball, if you will, and that was kind of their Achilles heel early. They're an athletic team. I know that Jamal George is kind of playing out and left. I think that they'll eventually move Gavin Cash out there. Yeah. Or Sorrell. I mean, did you see Sorrell had a triple? Which, yes. I mean, did you watch the triple, though?
No.
They lost the ball, like, in the sun. But...
Actually, yes, I did see it, yeah.
He legged out a triple. Like...
Yeah, I just think this A&M lineup's figuring it out. I think Michael Early is... I think he's saying the right things as a coach. And we've talked about it, how, like, Michael Early has been winning games for them. He's saying the right things to them, and now they're like...
They love him. Like, I mean that truthfully.
They love him.
There was a little bit of thing, and I was talking to a bigwig in college baseball. I won't say his name, but he was saying, he goes, yeah, it's really interesting when you have streaks like this. The only way you get fired is if you lose the team. But there's numerous coaches that have lost teams in that situation before, and they love to fight for him, and it shows. Yeah. Like he's gotten it's night and day different than what he was doing at the beginning of the year versus what he's doing now. Like there's chippiness. He loves to fight for his like on the Kent Grand Slam. Did you see how far he came out? Like, it? They absolutely. I would go as far as to say they like playing for this coach a lot more than the last coach.
Yes. I mean, we saw what kind of transpired after that. After even when Schloss was there, it kind of felt like it was like a business.
Yes.
It was like business. Now, like they're playing looser. They're playing with.
It was business like at the beginning, and I think you and I talked about it. Is that it felt like a minor league team?
Yes, where
it doesn't now.
They're trying
it feels like
their best for next promotion. They're playing with feel.
It feels like a summer team in a good way. Like that's what it reminds. Like it's summer vibes. Like you're just up at the Cape. It's you and your boys in 5 houses.
Yeah,
just hanging out, going. Like they love to hang out with each other. Like they stay around the field house for like when I usually go to their stuff. We do post game. I go up and write. I edit some pictures, and then I leave. And there's been numerous times where it's like an hour and a half after the game, and I'm leaving with some of the players. Like they love to hang out with each other, and it's a genuine thing. And I will say this: I think they really struggled to click early, just because they didn't really have a leader. They have a lot of guys that I think have accepted their roles now. I think that's the difference in this team now.
I think Caden Sorrell being a sophomore, like obviously there are they got younger guys. They got Terrence Keel as a very young guy in the lineup.
I do want to read something from Mike Grahovic, who is Gavin Grahovic's dad, about the roster next year, just to kind of put it into perspective. Grahovic's going to be back. Sorrell's back. TK, Shane Zadeo. He said Gavin and Sorrell are both going to be top 5 picks. Really hard to argue with that.
Yeah, they're going to be phenomenal.
That is the one thing, just before we talk about Arkansas here, that I'm the most excited about is, Gavin Grahovic is not being talked about enough because of this injury.
Mm-hmm. And
it's just adding like another fuel to the fire, if you will, but with him and this team.
Yeah.
So we all are going with Arkansas to save our records, but a lot of us are wanting. I think A&M sneaks up on them.
I think so. I really think they ambush Gage Wood. I think Lampkin's been throwing very well. I think they take the Gage Wood game, especially if what I'm thinking happens. I think it's going to be Gage Wood to Gackle or Gabe Gackle for like long relief. I think they ambush them.
Interesting.
And then the way Beetlecheese has thrown, Sunday can go either way, I think.
A&M is going to need to get a good quality outings from Weston Moss that they've got in the past few weeks. But I think the most important thing that they need is they need somebody outside of him to come in and step up. Whether it's Clayton Freshcorn, whether it's Blake Jackson, Caden Wilson, they need somebody to kind of come out of that bullpen and be a good bridge guy for them. And I think that's the one thing that they really have to do if they really want to take that next step. Because I think they're in that tier 2 of the SEC. But if they knock off 2 tier 1 SEC teams, they're back immediately in the hunt, if you will.
Yes.
They do get Arkansas, who was red hot. I feel like and we'll kind of transition into Arkansas. I feel like if you're Arkansas, you feel really good about the way that series in Georgia went down for losing 2 of 3. That's probably the best you're going to feel losing a series, losing 2 of 3.
Yes, especially when you were down to your final strike on Sunday, and then Aloy ties it up on one swing. Just those Aloy brothers are freaks of natures.
Or you have a bullpen guy shut you down, chirp at your dugout, and you explode for 9 runs off of him.
Yeah, that's like the most
This was
baseball karma thing ever. It
Here's you an interesting.
Not going against Georgia's bullpen though this weekend. That's my take of this.
Here's you an interesting one, by the way, because based off what the midweek against Pine Bluff showed us, is that they're going to move Cam Cozell to second. And do you think it's Reese Robinette or do you think it's Rocco Pepe who plays first base?
Okay, yeah, Rocco's off the injury report.
Yes, Rocco is off the injury report. We've also seen Gabe Frazier play second with Camden Cozell playing first, is what we saw against Georgia on Sunday. Who knows?
Dave Van Horn can plug in any guy he wants at any position.
And there is one guarantee. You know that Aloy's going to play short.
Yes. Whichever Aloy's going to play short, and then the other one's going to just hit nukes for you. Whoever DVH slides in, whether they have Camden at first or at second, the guy who's opposite of that is going to hit 300 and probably get double-digit home runs. They have 4 guys with double-digit home runs, 3 guys with double-digit doubles. They've driven in a shit ton of runs, 356 runs. It feels like
they're the number one. Let me double check.
They're number 1 batting average in the SEC.
Yes, they are 7th in the country in batting average as a team, trailing only Georgia Tech in terms of power. Schools, Tennessee sits second at 314. Arkansas is hitting 331. So they're far and away the best hitting team in the SEC, and in turn, the best hitting team in the country, if you will. They score runs they're 4th. They average 10 runs a game, highest in D1 baseball. It's 2 points ahead of Georgia Tech. They technically have the second most runs scored behind only VMI, which not to take anything away from the Keydets, but they played the 2 worst teams in college baseball in East Shore and let me see the other one is. They played somebody really shitty at the beginning of the year where they stacked, because remember they're the ones that they were stacking up all those stolen bases.
Yeah, they
I can be honest, I never thought we would talk about VMI baseball, but yet here we are. East Shore and Coppin State. That's who it was.
Oh yes.
They hit. VMI hits. VMI is the only team that has more runs than Arkansas. Period. A&M is going to need to be sharp. I think that these are going to be games like we saw on Friday or Thursday last week for A&M. It's going to be 8-7, 10-8, 11-9. I don't have the balls to do it, but I think A&M takes 2 of 3. I think they gentlemen's sweep. I think they do Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday.
I will say it. A&M sweeps.
So you're going with Micah. That's a good one.
If I could text Micah right now, I feel like he's already scheduled our post for this to come out. I really think I went with Arkansas, kind of saved my record. I've done terrible with the pick 'em, I feel like, but I think this A&M team is just.
We could do the Lee Corso where you cross it out to not so fast.
I might do that. I'm gonna go get some Texas A&M headwear. Just throw that on before first pitch. But I really think this A&M team is figuring it out. And if I went and made an Omaha 8 today, Texas A&M will be going to Omaha, in my opinion.
That is interesting. I think that they still have one pitcher that they need to get figured out before you feel good about that. But the lineup feels really, really dynamic. Probably the most dynamic and hottest lineup in the country, if you will. The Texas Longhorns will host the number 8 Auburn Tigers, who sit at 9-6 in the SEC. Texas at 13-2. We all unanimously went with the Texas Longhorns in this one. They are riding the highest of highs, if you will. After dropping that game against Kentucky, they still only have one singular loss in regulation. So they are 13-1 in games involving 9 innings in the SEC. They are probably the first team in the country to have a lock for a tournament bid. If they were to lose every single game from here on out, they would still be a tournament team. It's Texas. I'm sorry. I don't think there's any way Auburn even wins a game.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't go Auburn's or Texas sweep. This is kind of like your novelty, like Get Humble series for Auburn. This is such a big week for Texas. Obviously, we didn't do a recap show, but Texas, the number 1 team in the country.
They're playing like it. They win. Yeah. They win the Galvan Bowl on Tuesday. Yeah. They go on the road to Kentucky, which
they took 3, and
they lost in extra innings in 15 innings.
Yeah, and it's Kentucky put the pressure on them, but Texas is the number 1 team, and they deserve to be the number 1 team.
Yes. We talked about it last week about, that Ruger Riojas, or not Ruger Riojas, Dylan Volantis just comes in and absolutely eats innings for him.
And yeah.
We're like, okay, Will, we want to see how they do with another bullpen guy. Like maybe, they need a 7th bullpen guy because they keep going to Grubbs and they keep going to Volantis. Like they can't keep doing that every week. While playing 14 innings kind of does that for you. And Grayson, I believe it's Saunier. I did try and DM him. He does not respond. I know his mom has a pretty active Twitter. I see her stuff a lot. We do apologize. They do have a pronunciation guide. I want to hear you. What's your guess for it?
What's his name?
Grayson. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Saunier.
Saunier.
It is Saunier. Saunier. Which, I mean, if he's going to pitch like the way that he did on the weekend, I think that we'll probably get used to saying his name. For reference, that was his first appearance in the SEC since March 4th, so over a month. His only appearance was 1 inning against Houston Christian in mop-up role. He's a guy that you really didn't know what his role was going to be coming over from Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely reveled in that role. And if he can get in and get meaningful innings, I think that if that saves you from having to go to Volantis, because I think that that's the one worry with Volantis, Ruger Riojas, Grubbs to some extent, is that you worry about exhausting what their inning totals are. Because if you will, every pitcher in the country has a finite number of innings, and you don't want to use them all up in April. So if they can get somebody like him in there, what?
Even Thomas Burns, he went 4 innings in their loss. He was the losing pitcher on Saturday.
He lost on a bunt, to be fair.
Yeah, but he has starting experience at Arizona State. He's coming off of an elbow injury from last year, but if they can get Thomas Burns fully going, he was phenomenal last week.
So if you're Max Wiener, and how many pitchers do you feel comfortable about getting you 3 outs in a high leverage situation? Obviously, all your starters, Volantis, Grubbs.
I go 7.
No. That's a luxury that a lot of teams in the country don't have.
No, I think more. 9.
9.
Harrison, Spencer, Ruger, Volantis, Jason Flores, Max Grubbs, Cade Bing. They're going to start using, I think, in the SEC because they definitely want him ready for high leverage situations.
I'm a big Bryce Navarre guy too. I know that he's probably not ready just as a true freshman.
Yeah,
but he is the most unique pitcher I think that they have.
Yes, Grayson Aiden Moffett, Andre Duplantier. I mean, Andre shoved on Saturday.
Yeah, he looked really good.
He made Kentucky look like helpless at the plate. I think it's also just the credit of Max Wiener. We talked about this pre-show of Max Wiener's
philosophy.
Andre Duplantier just makes it look so easy.
I will say this. Here's the one worry that you will, before we switch over to Auburn, just to see what they need to do to get the series done. Max Ballou and Evan Mendoza, as it sits right now, are 1 and 2 for Texas hitters. They might have to go into the weekend without them. Adrian Rodriguez obviously probably isn't up to 100%. They're going to need him to be.
Yeah.
For a team that we talked about as needing everybody to get healthy, needing to kind of find the right pieces, if you will. What do they do with Mendoza if Mendoza can't go? Do they move Adrian to second? Do they move Borba back to second? Do you feel good enough about Adrian to play the field? Didn't they stick him in left for a game?
They stuck him in left in Sunday.
That's what it was. I was like, is that a fever dream?
I think
so you could get Jacque Stewart some at bats.
I think they put Adrian at second base to kind of just help him with his injury. Or he's still not 100%. Kind of like he doesn't have to do the long runs in the outfield. Mm-hmm. I think we see some Jack Stewart. Jacque Stewart. ABs. I mean, didn't Cole Chamberlain also play some outfield in high school? I feel like. I mean, his ABs have not been good this year.
But he is a freshman, which is, I mean, it's so weird how it works out because he took numerous high quality at bats in their like winter practices in January. I think his time's gonna come. Hot take on Cole Chamberlain.
I totally agree. The kid's gonna be a superstar one day. Yeah. I just think he got the opposite of like what Brody Johnson got at Vandy, where like he just came on the scene hot and then that's kind of like cooled off. Cole Chamberlain came in to Texas with such high hopes and was just like, come in, that door just slammed right in your face. Like, whoa,
they were a little bit out of his control, I should say. But I mean, he's a high quality teammate for him.
Yes. Yes.
He wears like full like catcher's regalia, if you will, in the dugout. It's pretty awesome. But we'll move over to Auburn. Auburn is the ultimate sleeper pick this weekend. They are coming in as probably one of the hotter teams in the country, as they have taken 4 of 5 against teams that were previously in the top 10 in Alabama and LSU. They were at home. This is going to be their first trip on the road since Georgia, where they got swept. They do have a 4-game losing streak on the road, if you will, in the SEC. They need their guys to – they need the athleticism, I think, is what they really need. Eric Snow's got to get his average over 300 for him. It's got to be Ike Irish. It's got to be Cooper McMurray. I will actually be at this game on Saturday, by the way. It's noon start on Saturday. I'll get to see Ruger Riojas for the first time since the alumni game, when he absolutely shoved, by the way. Power of the mustache. Did you see the Twitter that someone made of like, I think it was either Luke Harrison or Ruger Riojas' mustache?
No, I did see Max Wiener post on his Instagram, though. Let me see if I can find it. He was tagged in it. Max Wiener. He like posted something at Ruger, and it was like
fill up the damn zone.
No,
oh, you sent it to me.
It was like I happen to live in the same timeline, or like it's like it was really funny. It's like I'll send it to you. Let me see.
The mustache mentality is what. Where is it? It was Luke Harrison. Let
me see. Got a lot of people tagging.
Evan Mendoza is with a shoulder injury. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people tag Max Wiener and stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Coach Schlossnagel hinted at Max Ballou coming back in 3 to 4 weeks. Which, by the way, if you are one of those people that likes to look ahead, that would be the Arkansas series.
Ooh, that would be a fun one.
Yep.
Let me. Oh wait, I found it. Horns News. Here it is. If you're ever sad, just remember the world is 4.543 billion years old, and you somehow managed to exist at the same time as Ruger Ross.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, there it is. I love that. Is the ultimate like look of the only thing that would make it better is I think like a headband that said "Fill up the damn zone," but
Yeah.
Motley Crue T-shirt, mustache.
If you look at his Instagram, Ruger Rios, he just looks like such a chill guy.
Oh, I know. I would, he knows his way around a grill. Did you see the one of who was it? Let me find it. It was. Let me see.
Dominated the damn zone.
Yeah, dominate the damn zone.
Love this.
Where is it? Fuck, who was it? Oh, here we go. It was Max Grubbs wearing the Texas Bowling Champion shirt from a fall competition that they did. He added, who is the worst bowlers among the Longhorns? Kimball Schuessler and Jared Spencer. Jared Spencer is unbelievably bad.
I actually did see that, yes. Jared, it's tough for lefties to bowl, I feel like.
Is that a thing?
My buddy's playing pro ball. He's a lefty, and he was terrible at bowling. He might have been a little drunk, but I think he was terrible at bowling.
Hot take before we get out of here. I subscribe to the theory that there's finite things that you could be good at. Don't waste it on being good at bowling. So being bad at bowling is like a blessing in disguise. Like, could you imagine like going out on like a blind date with a guy and he's like really good at bowling? I feel like that's such like a turn off.
If he brought his own bowling shoes,
yes.
And like the wrist like guard for the ball.
I could be wrong, but I don't think Max Grubbs has any problem with the women in Austin. So, maybe that's God, helping out the little guy, saying, okay, we'll make him bad. We'll make him really good at bowling too. I think this one's going to be all Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This one got a little bit off the rails, if you will. We will be back Monday at noon to recap everything that we saw over the weekend. Have a great Easter. Have a great Passover. I believe Ramadan's already passed, so hopefully you had a good Ramadan. But thanks everybody for tuning in.